Well, Jack, let's review what I did.
Jesus Freak here for EvilAvatar.com with a fresh reviewable. Okay, so those of you who watched my review of the first Fable III expansion, the Understone Quest Pack, will remember that I was not terribly impressed with it, largely due to the disappointingly brief main quest. Thankfully, it would seem that Lionhead Studios have taken that oft-repeated criticism to heart, because their latest DLC expansion, Traitor's Keep, is chock full of new areas, new characters, new quests, and gasp, even a couple of very fun boss fights. So let's take a look. The primary questline in Traitor's Keep introduces us to Ravenscar Keep, a secret prison set up by the former king for holding Albion's most dangerous criminals, as well as certain inconvenient political adversaries. There's apparently been a breakout at the covert lockup, with 3 of its most dangerous prisoners escaping into the world of Albion. Naturally, it falls upon the king's shoulders to capture these escaped convicts and return them to their rightful places within the prison walls. The quest to recapture the fugitives leads to a 3-pronged quest line, which introduces a total of 3 new locations, including the prison itself. Your search for the mysterious Professor Faraday will lead you to his mechanized Clockwork Island and its robotic denizens. Tracking down the evil witchcraft Mary, you'll find yourself in the haunted Godwin estate, an eerie mansion that would surely send even Eddie Murphy into apoplectic fits. And of course, without wanting to spoil anything, I'll leave the ultimate whereabouts of the enigmatic General Turner up to the player to discover for themselves. The gameplay in Traitor's Keep remains largely the same as that of the game proper, although it becomes quickly evident during the initial combat sequence that there'll be no more cheap victories through spamming magical attacks. In fact, several of the new foes you'll face seem to have been specifically designed to force you to abandon relying too heavily on a single style of combat, and instead switch up your attacks depending on the situation. I'm almost embarrassed to admit that early on, during one particularly heady encounter, I was actually quickly overcome and knocked out before I even realized that I needed to use a health potion. That's right, you're going to actually have to block in some of these fights. I will admit that at the beginning of the quest line I was heavily disappointed, as the game cruelly teased the opportunity of getting to finally make some more of the kingly choices that were an all too brief portion of the main game, but as it turns out that was only a ruse that led back to yet more combat and exploring.
No royal decision making for you.
Altogether, it only took me about 3 hours to complete the main quest line and the 3 follow-up quests that came packaged with the expansion. But at a price of 560 Microsoft points, or $7, I think that's actually a pretty good value for the player who enjoys the gameplay and storytelling in Fable 3. I wouldn't necessarily say it's more of the same, more like it's more of the best of the same. Great story, fun boss encounters, and some new locations to explore. Now, if only we could get a side of governing to go with our button mashing, we'd be in business.